It's actually a wicker bowl that David's taken a bowl and then set a plastic liner inside of it. He added, these are artificial branching, it's flocked, and then a little bit of the feathers, some of the milk pods through the center, and then just added the flowers to accent. So overall, it's a beautiful fall arrangement with just a few fresh flowers added into it. Some gorgeous confetti roses here in the center. You have to be very careful when you're using this bicolor rose. I believe this is actually a circus rose, CUS, just as in the circus. Oftentimes, customers call us and they want confetti, okay? KONFETTI, confetti roses. And they have a very similar coloration, but the red on the tips is much more confined only to the tips. You can see this orangey red goes almost into the petal a little bit more, like someone's taken a brush and painted the edge of the petal. Whereas the confetti is just on the edge. And a lot of times people would be disappointed. They say, oh, I wanted more red. It's like, then you didn't want a confetti, you wanted probably a circus rose. Okay? So keep that in mind. And also, confettis are very sensitive to the temperatures and the times of year. So in the middle of the summer, very, very little red. In the fall, they have a lot more. So sometimes people confuse those two. But just keep that in mind. This is another one of those metal containers. This is, ceramic. Well, that's the heaviest metal container. And Kim has taken an artificial manzanita branch, laid it across the top. Used a few of those interiors as roofing of the fall brown rose. It's a beautiful fall rose. And then a couple of tortillas to add to that as well. This is a big difference. Again, Kim's incorporated the manzanita branch, some of the very similar flowers, some of those great phalaenopsis sprays. And then because it's such a large area, do you see that rectangular base is that metal base? She's added that accent of the lichen moss again to the front of that, so that it just kind of fills up that design aspect as well. The stone base here, and especially when you're looking a little bit closer to it, has a lot more texture, a lot more interest, but this larger metal base, not so much. I think it needs that lichen moss added to it. Oftentimes when you're doing an arrangement, for instance, I'm going to go back for a minute, like this wicker bottle, our birdhouse style arrangement. You know, I started making the design, I like this section through here, it's very pretty. But it actually looked like I just made a fall corsage and kind of stuck it on there, right? So I had to add to it. So I used some the cattails and then some curly willow to extend it. And basically what I did was fill negative space. And then down here, there was so much area with nothing. I thought I need to do another grouping down here to fill that in. So sometimes the same thing, when you're looking at your arrangements, look high and look low. Maybe the fact is, what's not finished is some negative space that maybe there's just too much of. So maybe you need to take a nice little pot or some moss or something, maybe a little herb even, and glue it down below. Here's two companion pieces. Oftentimes we have a nice long ledge we want to decorate, or perhaps two different tables in a room. Again, Kim's used the cement container. Very heavy weight, very nice weight. So with that base, she can go as high as she wants. She's not worried that somebody's going to bump this and it's going to fall over. That's just not going to happen. Okay? Taking a grouping to make it as well as vertical, a little horizontal. She's taken some dried material and created two horizontal groupings right through the arrangement, kind of bisected. A little bit of the autumn foliage. This is actually a plastic material, staying away from the dried material. And then some sunflowers, some Chinese lanterns, a few hypericum berries to finish it off. We have a variety of these metal buckets, a little bit of a different shape and size, right? It's got the copper band on the top and the bottom. And Kim has taken two of them, grouped them together with one with the birch branches, a little heavier weight, a little heavier visually. Then we have this one with the pencil cattails, still giving us a strong vertical line, but not so weak. So you have two similar designs with very different looks. So a brother-sister kind of arrangement here. Over here, Kim has taken another one of those containers, that cone-shaped one. Let's call it a curly cone, or a wave cone. She's added some succulents. She's added some pomegranates. A bit of the sedum hanging down. That's not sedum. What is this hanging down? Mother of pearl. That's a good name. We'll call it mother of pearl today. Some of the mother of pearl. I'm sure somebody will Facebook me and tell me what it really is. But anyway, and then a couple of the globes added to it. And again, a wonderful use of the trachelium. Right now we're getting in trachelium. We get it in fresh out of Ecuador. It comes in the blue and the purple. We can get it in green and we get it in white too. I call it a hardy Queen Anne's lace. Very often people love the look of Queen Anne's lace, but I don't know how often you use it, but when you put it in foam a lot of times, it just droops down after a day. It's very hard to work with. Whereas you can count on the trachelium, keeping it shape and fullness, and it has that very nice soft texture as well. Oftentimes when a designer gets a container, the first thing they do is look at it and try to use it opposite of what it's supposed to be used at. Here somewhere is the full container. There it is. This is the container Kim has used to make this arrangement. She's opened it up, because it does open, flopped it upside down, and yes, that poor bird is standing on his head. Some might say he's a talented bird, though. But she's flipped that container and used it to make two different arrangements, but it's a set. Very heavy. This is the fresh trachelium I just talked about. She's done it fresh. Some artificial branches, a little bit of the veronica, and then the brunella berries. Right now we're getting out of Australia. Very pretty. She's added some dried pomegranates and a little bit of green pin around the base for collar. And then the companion arrangement is a lot simpler, because now keep in mind, even though that it's a fresh arrangement and Kim has great mechanics, this is just a very simple vase, and we don't want to break it. So in the top half that's laying down, it's very light. She just has the orb that's sitting in the center, and a few of the pomegranates and artificial berries. So it's very lightweight. So you do have to be concerned with, is it strong enough to support two arrangements, so to speak. And Kim's done a good job. And then here, these roses are black magic roses. Okay? If you're looking for red roses, Freedom roses are the red rose that we carry mostly, but it's a very bright red, and a carnation red, so to speak. The black magic is a much more of a midnight red, dark red. This arrangement, also done in fresh, is a mixture though. The manzanita branches that are going off to my right, to your left, is actually artificial, and then the papyrus grass that's growing up out of the top is artificial as well. So the fresh of the proteas and the Mauritia proposing in the arrangement. And Kim's covered her mechanics here with some sheet moss as well. Now the container is very unique. It's this heavy wood product. We have some very large bases out there in this wood. If you feel it, just give it a little tilt. It's very heavy based. It's an African wood. It's been very popular for us. We had to reorder it 3 times already this season. It's a very unique container, and the nice thing about it is once the arrangement goes away, the container is such with these unique colors and shapes in it that it stands alone. You can just leave it empty on a table. It's very different, very unique. I really love these tray baskets. The bowl basket that Dave did earlier, I think they work really well. This is Natraj. It's Natraj. It's found in our dried section. This is a great item to tone with the glossy wood tone or the cherry wood tone. It's a very different looking branch, very flat, works well in design, and it always has this curved look to it, very unusual. You can see some of it growing up here out of the center. David's added some fresh leucadendron, some of that tinted solidago. Here it is in a burgundy color. Isn't that pretty? Again, those circus roses, orange carnations. Nothing wrong with using carnations. I know a lot of times people don't like to use them, but orange carnations in the fall, I think are beautiful. A little bit of purple status instead of Trachelium. David's used the status. I think that's a great choice. And then some of those berries, you know, huge, those Hyperica berries are. If you're looking for that very large Hyperica berry, you need to remember to ask for the Romance series. And just Romance, R-O-M-A-N-C-E. Okay? And that's the variety that has the bigger berry. They're not available in all the colors, but the colors that are available, and you can see how huge they are. It's like Hyperica on steroids. You know, when it comes to the fall time, I just want to reinforce a few things. Number one is your containers are important, I think. Whether you're using a rusted bucket or some unusual wicker or some of these horn of honeys or curly horns or whatever you want to call them, wall pieces. You know, when it comes to doing fall arrangements, a lot of times we're not using as many flowers. We're using a few dry products, some vines, and things like that. So the container is almost important as what we're putting into the arrangement. Please take a look up above the cooler. Yesterday, in about 20 minutes at the end of the day, Kim decided we need to do something different. And notice the zebra prints. The zebra was already up there. So Kim's idea was to add the orange pumpkins and the orange, but it worked out well, didn't it? And those wicker, it's actually a plastic that looks like wicker, those containers in the center. So sometimes it's that last minute adrenaline rush where you got to finish something off. I think that made a nice display. Here's the finished product. A lot of call for ranunculus now, not only in weddings but everyday use. You see some of those beautiful ranunculus in this arrangement here. What's happening is we're finding that growers are starting to find different areas to grow them. In other words, we used to always get them out of California and the local product, of course, but very short season. But it's a flower that's in demand all year round. So then we'd have to go to Holland to the greenhouses. Well, that's one of the most expensive ways to grow flowers, right? You're growing it in a greenhouse, and then of course you have to fly it from Holland to New York to Detroit. So that's very expensive too. So now we have a lot of growers in places like Costa Rica and Ecuador that are growing the ranunculus, so we can provide you with good quality all year round. And of course Italy grows a lot of ranunculus too, which is kind of popular. And beautiful, those Schwarzwalder or black mini cats made a beautiful accent to that arrangement. But just a different twist on that standard topiary style arrangement. So with no further ado, thank you all very much. Any questions you have, we'll be here all day, as they say. You can seek us out. Don't forget, look for our videos on YouTube, either on our Facebook page or on the website. They're all there. We have a full season now. We've got a full year of videos. This is our second fall run of videos. So the 2 different fall seasons to take a look at. Great resource material. Thank you all very much.